The Tainted Glove presents Yumper and Svo at the Show podcast with Tom Yumper Garcia.
Oh, what a big man you are. Hey, let me buy you a pack of gum. I'll show you how to chew it. Ooh.
And Justin Svo Svoboda.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster.
Two guys from Chicago talking movies.
Welcome everyone to episode 13 of the Yumper and Svo at the Show, presented to you by the Tainted Glove. I'm one of your co-hosts, Tom Garcia, aka Yumper, and I'm with my other co-host, Justin Svo Svoboda. How's it doing, Mr. Svoboda?
Yumper, I'm good today, man. I'm really excited about this episode. How are you?
Very, very good. Actually, a very busy weekend, but not too stressful. So,
what did you do all weekend?
Homework.
Homework?
Yes.
I worked, so it's fair. It was good. Good weekend, though.
Yes. It goes by too quickly. But I am also very excited because we have some special guests today.
Yeah, two people that are actually really important to the success of our show. Two people that have supported us like from the jump. I would say besides Fids and Aloha Mr. Hand, like two of our biggest supporters.
Definitely. So let's get the show on the road. Well, let's go into our usual topic, our Twitter question of the week, and you had a special one this week.
Yeah, so our Twitter question of the week was a little unique this week. I don't know if whoever's listening to this follows me on Twitter, and they know that I was stuck in Love Airport in Dallas for 16 hours on Monday. I was supposed to be home Sunday afternoon, but weather back home in Chicago kept canceling flights. So I put out a Twitter AMA movie thing for Yumper and Svo, and I had some really good questions, and I kind of want to just answer them here. So some of them were like all of these actually were from normal listeners, supporters of the show. Shane Spagnolia asked me, what's the best TV and cartoon series you have watched? And it's a great question, and it's something I talk about a lot on Twitter, but my favorite show of all time and the best show to ever exist on TV is easily The Sopranos. It's something that I rewatch once a year. I absolutely love it. And as far as cartoon shows go, it only lasted one season, but the creator of Scrubs and the Lego Movie made a TV show for MTV called Clone High. And Clone High was about these clones of famous U.S. historical figures and historical figures in the world that were cloned and brought back as teenagers. So it's like a Dawson's Creek meets like the History Channel. You have a young teenage JFK, you have a young Gandhi and a young Joan of Arc, and they're in high school, and it's absolutely hilarious. I love it. I rewatch it all the time. So The Sopranos and Clone High. Beefloaf asked us, do you think Paul Cicero was a bad Don? Now, I never thought of Paul Cicero as a Don. He didn't seem like the head of a family. Goodfellas didn't make it out to be a traditional mafia family. Yeah, you kicked up and you gave him the taste. So I don't know if he was a bad Don, but I think he looked the other way on a lot of things. And I think he let Henry Hill get away with a bunch of stuff. And he always said, watch out for Jimmy and watch out for Tommy. And he never did anything about it. The only time that those guys got justice was in court at the end of the movie for Jimmy Conway. And Joe Pesci got whacked because he killed another made guy. And I think he looked a lot of ways. So I think he was a hypocrite. Kelly Falstich, PKKF33.
Who's that?
I don't know who that is, but she asked me who my favorite Disney villain is. And my favorite Disney villain, that's an easy question. It's Gaston from the greatest Disney movie to ever exist, Beauty and the Beast. Best songs, best music. Gaston's my favorite Disney villain. And he's not even really like a villain per se. He's just kind of a dick. But I love that movie. It's absolutely my favorite Disney movie. Even the remake with Emma
Watson,
yeah, Hermione. Sammy Davis Jr. asked me what my take was at the end of American Psycho. I think it was all in Patrick Bateman's head. I think he was crazy. I think he was a nut job, and I don't think he did any of that stuff. Otherwise, that apartment wouldn't have been renovated. There would have been bodies. There would have been evidence. So I think it was all in Patrick Bateman's head. And I think that's the way Bret Easton Ellis wanted it to be in the novel. And that's one of those rare occasions where the movie's just as good as the novel, but the novel is absolutely fantastic. If you haven't read any of Bret Easton Ellis's stuff, Less Than Zero, Rules of Attraction, American Psycho, all fantastic movies and books. Um, I can't see. Was that Joey Slugs that asked what was in the briefcase in Pulp Fiction?
Yep.
I think that's kind of easy, and I think Quentin Tarantino said that. I think that's Marcellus Wallace's soul. I think that's why the Band-Aid was on the back of his neck. I think that's Marcellus Wallace's soul. What do you
I
think on
think
that
so.
one, Yumper?
Same thing. The iconic camera shot always from Quentin Tarantino, whether they're looking into the trunk or
Yeah.
the briefcase. But yeah, I totally think it was his soul.
And then Chris McGowan, another awesome supporter. Do you empathize with Victor Navorsky, the man the movie The Terminal was based off, after the last day you spent at the airport? So The Terminal is already like one of my favorite Tom Hanks movies. I think that movie's really endearing and really, really well done. And I feel for him because the airport sucks. When we were flying back from Vegas from our friend trip, they bumped us from our flight, but they gave us like $1,500 in like comps. They gave me dick for my troubles in Texas. So I will not be flying for at least a year. My wife is going to use those credits and go to Hawaii with her sister because I'm tired of flying. But yes, I totally empathize them, and I love that movie, The Terminal. So thanks for the Twitter questions, guys. That was fun. We should do more AMA movie style stuff. Yep.
Yeah, I totally agree. And where can they find us to do these Twitter questions? Well,
You can find these Twitter questions. We post them every week at Yumper and Svo. And they're usually retweeted from my Twitter handle at DoughboySo or Pizza Poppy Yumpito. Is that your
yeah, Pizza Papa, man.
Poppy? We always retweet them and post them there, but we always have our usual array of characters that answer our questions.
Yep, and we always appreciate all the support. But Swell, when you mentioned Clone High, that's a show that came out like my freshman year in college. So I remember watching that at MTV, and it was pretty hilarious. And the whole no, it actually came out my senior year in high school. So the Say What?
Hey, what?
Yeah, that show is awesome. You can check it out on YouTube. I think a couple clips from it, but
Yeah, they're actually remaking it for HBO Max too.
that's pretty funny. I know it got a lot of controversy due to the Gandhi character.
Sorry, that's my watch.
Okay.
I have everything on Do Not Disturb, but I accidentally hit a button. But yeah, no, they're remaking Clone High, and I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, check it out. But with that, so we're gonna go to our new segment that we've been trying out, which is what I know. Actually, we're gonna go to what are we watching first. I didn't look at the slides. My bad. But so what have you been watching this week?
So, we lost a great one in Olivia Newton-John, and I know there's a Twitter clip floating around there. Everybody's seen it of me singing Summer Lovin' from Grease, shirtless at my desk. I love Grease. So I rewatched Grease with my wife the other night. And then a movie that I saw a preview for when I went to the theater to see Black Phone with one of our guests, Gone in the Night with Winona Ryder. Really creepy movie. I really, really enjoyed it. I don't want to spoil it because it just came out, but I highly recommend checking it out.
Yeah, and for me, I actually saw two new movies that actually came out this year. The first one I saw actually with my son, who's a huge fan of the Despicable Me series. I actually saw Minions: The Rise of Gru, and it was entertaining. I thought it was hilarious that they had a lot of the '80s action stars come back. You had JCVD as a guy named John Claw, which was pretty funny. Dolph Lundgren was in there. You had Danny Trejo. Lucy Lewis was a nun who threw nunchucks. So it was pretty entertaining. Alan Arkin played a character called Wild Knuckles. Just typical kids movie, but pretty entertaining. Good music, which the Despicable Me series usually have. So I would check it out if you guys have a chance to. And then another movie that I have been anticipating for a while because I'm a big supporter and lover of horror movies is Prey. Now, in my opinion, the last good Predator movie released before this was Predators. That's just my opinion. But this movie tops that. And I think it's probably, if not the second best, third best Predator movie. Ties in a lot of stuff from the first two. There are a lot of homages to it. It's based in the 1700s without getting too much into it with the Comanche tribe. I love the fact that most of the actors, if not all, are indigenous. There's actually a way you can listen to it in Comanche, which my brother did because he's crazy like that. The whole movie, it's in Comanche. Great storyline. It wasn't boring, and I loved every minute of it. So I highly recommend you check out Prey. And it's on Hulu, so if you have Hulu, you can watch it now.
I want to check it out. I just haven't gotten around to it yet, but that might be on my list to watch this week.
Yeah, highly recommend checking it out. So I saw 2 good movies in the rarity, considering I saw Nope last time we had a podcast.
I still haven't seen Nope or Thor, Yumper. I know I'm like slipping, but like going to Texas for baseball games and like coming back and going to work, I haven't seen it. I do want to make time to go see E.T. at some point this week in IMAX. So I might be doing that.
Yes, ET is on IMAX. But with that, so let's get into our new segment we've been trying for real this time. It's something we came up with where we have a guest on every week who defend a movie. And that guest this week is Shankster. Shankster, thank you so much for coming on, man.
Thank you guys for having me.
Shankster, we love you, man. We love the support you give us. We love your interaction with us on our Twitter account. And I know both you and I love the Halloween series. So that's why this was fun. But before we get into the meat and potatoes, if you will, about Halloween Resurrection, there's a couple questions that we ask all our guests, and I wanted to go over them with you. What movie do you put on when you're feeling sad or you're sick or you're under the weather?
There's a few different ones. I like. See, I'm a big '80s guy for that stuff. Growing up on that, give me Back to the Future is one. One that I probably watched just repeated. The Burbs with Tom Hanks, probably one of my favorites of his.
Great movie.
Love
Awesome
that movie. One that I think it's underrated. Doesn't get talked about. Quick Change with Bill Murray, Gina Davis, and Randy.
And Bobcat Goldthwait, right?
No, he wasn't in that.
No, that's Shakes the Clown. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
it shakes.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
same thing. Probably, yeah, with Bill Murray's the clown at the beginning. Yeah, but that's like I mean, I love the movie. I remember going to see that with my dad. I think we were in St. Louis and just down there, an R-rated movie at that point, probably 11 years old, going to see that with my dad and just loved that movie. So those are a few of the ones, and just like give me any 80 cheesies comedy though. I
That's
like
fantastic. That's fantastic. Now, Shankster, where did you grow up?
Sterling. So
Sterling.
about my Sock Summer hometown, so same place.
So what was the movie theater that you grew up going to as a kid?
We had 2. They were both just like they had two theaters in a minute. They was like about a block apart. So it was like just the Sterling Cinemas and then the Sterling Theater.
Yeah.
That Sterling Theater where you got for Batman had closed for a while once like we got like the 8 theater seat, so
Yeah, the
this one-
multiplex.
yeah, so we got the one downtown is like a Bruin View. So that's kind of where my choice is to go is to
Sure.
so we can drink while we're watching the movie and stuff. So that's kind of where we go. But those were the 2, and the one closed down. I remember, gosh, probably late '80s, early '90s at the most. The other one did. The other 2 one did.
Okay. Now, the last question that we have, and we asked this to everybody: what was the movie that you went to go see the first time your parents let you go out with like a group of friends on your own?
Oh, let's see. I remember going to see Back to the Future with like after school one day with just another friend.
Jesus Christ, how old are you?
I'm 44.
I'm just messing with you.
But yeah, you guys are a little bit younger. But yeah, I was so, and it was, I know that was a summer movie, but it stuck around for so long that like it was after school one day. It was just like, hey, and like just me and my buddy in first, I think it was had to be first grade. Just went and saw that. But as I got older, or something, I think probably Rocky, one of the Rocky movies. I know I went and saw with like a group of friends.
Yeah, and your parents just dropped you off there.
Dropped me off, yep.
That's
Yeah.
cool. Yumper, do you remember? I asked you this. Do you remember what yours was?
My first movie, it would have to be the American Pie movie.
Yeah.
Probably American Pie. If I think of like go back,
Mine was the original Scream in like December of '96. I was like a freshman in high school, and my dad was like, "All right, I'm gonna drop you off at the theater. You're good to go." And my buddies and I went to go see it. We tried to go see Fear with Mark Wahlberg, but like the ushers kept like spotting us and kicking us out. So I think we settled on like James and the Giant Peach, like instead of Fear. But we tried.
Yeah, I think
well, the first like R-rated movie I think that I remembered. I think that I don't know which one came out. I'm trying to remember the timeline, but either Jason Goes to Hell or Speed
Ooh.
were the first like R-rated movies that I went to with friends. We got into it.
Our other guest that's going to be on after you hates the Back to the Future movies, but loves the Friday the 13th movies. So you like simultaneously made him happy and want to kill. He's probably going to want to kill you at the same time.
And Jason came out before Speed.
Okay, so that was it was Jason Goes to Hell that I went. And I remember going to see that one in the theater. I think maybe my brother at probably a too young age took me to go see Jason Takes Manhattan.
Well, we can talk offline about Jason Takes Manhattan because I have some thoughts. That movie messed with my head for a long time.
It did me too, because like I said, I think I was maybe 10 years old when I saw that. Maybe.
Absolutely. Now you're a lover of horror movies, right?
I am.
So tell us about Halloween Resurrection. Let's get into it.
Oh man. So it'd probably been, I can't tell you the last time I watched it. So I watched it last night, and there's some good points to it. I will say that. It reminded me, and I had to look it up, the name of the show. I don't know if you guys being younger, was it MTV Fear? Do you remember that show at all?
I do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, do.
That's kind of what I know. That was probably right around the same time.
Are you referring to the Dangertainment?
Yeah.
Buster Rhymes and Dangertainment?
Yeah, and so that's what when you asked me to do this, that's the one with Buster, right? And that's what it kind of reminded me of with the view that you would get from the first person view, that kind of thing. I thought that was for that time was kind of new. I guess you had the Blair Witch and like the little found footage type stuff. So I kind of enjoyed that aspect of it. With okay, I'm sorry, I had some stuff down here. Like I said, the flashback at the beginning to the end of H2O to show what had happened and why Jamie Lee was in the Laurie Strode's in the psych ward now with the that he had done the switch and everything, and that was kind of, like I said again, for now I'm throwing back to that. I think it was Jason 5 or 6 where they had it was like somebody else was Jason, so they kind of did that thing. That was kind of like just showing why she's there. And if that could have taken place, if that could have been the whole movie, it'd have been better. To be honest with you, if you kept it in that psych ward, in that setting at the hospital, because I love that guy who was would scared the security guard at the beginning, and then he was like, when he sees Michael walk by, he's like, or he comes back and he gives him the knife after he kills Laurie. He's like, Michael Myers,
the guy that idolized the serial killers.
Yeah, he had new birth dates, knew what they did, what happened. Hadn't been seen in 3 years. That I like that guy too. I mean, if you could have kept it in there, it's the Buster. I mean, Buster, and it's great. Dressed up as Michael, walking around.
Tyra Banks.
Tyra Banks, you don't see her get killed, which is kind of weird for how. I mean, you would think that. Buster doing the kung fu in the hotel, watching the movie, and then doing it on Michael with the sound effects and everything.
Yeah.
And it's like I like the kill from just with your American Pie with Thomas Ian Nichols, where he's sitting there and he's in the mirror and he's waiting, he's kind of talking to somebody after somebody had scared him, and then Michael kind of headbutts the mirror, comes through, and ends up stabbing him in the head.
Yeah, you know what? The aspect of the movie that I really, really liked was the girl that met the dude online and they were talking online or whatever.
Yeah.
And he was trying to like guide her through the house or like get a hold of her. I like that aspect of it, but they went away from it. And
in that last 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought that was what it was kind of starting to get intense, when you had the back and forth where he's kind of telling her. And it actually, I'm like I said, it had been a while, but it was really kind of it was kind of intense there for a small part when it's just kind of down to the main character and Busta and then Myers. It's just kind of good, but then they kind of, like you said, they just took away that aspect of him helping her, guiding her around.
Now, what's the worst part of this movie? Is it Busta Rhymes, or is it how bad Michael Myers' mask is in this movie?
That I noticed that almost immediately. The mask. The mask was horrible. I was thinking,
H2O and Resurrection, the mask was absolutely terrible.
Yeah, it's brutal. That I like the hair on it, everything. It's just like, what is this? The one thing I did write down for like the bad was the very beginning where Jamie Lee or Laurie and Michael are hanging, and she gives him a kiss on the lips on the mask, and is like, "See you in hell" or something. But when she kisses him, I'm like, "Oh, come on!" That was to me was bad. That was
I agree.
Yeah, I think Jamie was kind of done with the with the series until recently.
Except she came back for 3 more.
yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I this movie was bad. Like,
It would have been better if Jamie looked him in the eyes and gave him the kiss and said, "Evil dies tonight."
See,
I was waiting for that this whole time for him to come out with that.
see, no, I thought it would have been better if when Buster's like trick or treat, motherfucker. If he would have just said "Evil dies tonight, motherfucker." You know.
There you go. That would have been good. I like it. Yump got it twice tonight.
Jesus Christ.
But calling him Mikey and things like Buster calling him Mikey and stuff, it's just like,
Yeah, Mikey. It very it trivialized almost how creepy and how big of a figure it was. Now, how rewatchable is this movie? Like, when's the next time you'll rewatch this movie?
I don't know. That's the problem. It'll be a while. It's just like, the thought I had on this watching this was the premise is nice, but it shouldn't be in the Halloween films. If you took it out of the Halloween realm with just a serial killer doing this, it's better, I think, than because it just doesn't fit a Halloween. None of the characters have any ties to Myers outside the very beginning. There's no reason outside of him being in the house for him to be there. It's every other one has been personal. Everyone, when you had 1 and 2, then you had 4 and 5 with his niece, and then H2O, and then the new ones. It's all been tied with his family or some kind of connection. Where this one has zero connection to him. It's just a random thing.
I would agree. It was them trying to cash in on the Myers name, and keep it going. And it was, if I'm not mistaken, this was a Harvey Weinstein Dimension movie, and it was them trying to cash in on the name.
It was.
I think that's why a lot of these movies weren't available to stream for a while, because Harvey Weinstein's obviously not available. And it's the same reason that Dogma, I don't know if you guys know this, but if you own a copy of Dogma on Blu-ray, that thing's probably worth $100 because it's not on any streaming services anywhere.
Yeah. The thing is though, this movie made money. Looking at some research on this was a $15 million budget and made 37, so it doubled the budget. But I find it hilarious when I was reading about this because I've seen this movie maybe twice, and once time I was pretty intoxicated, so I would say I saw it one time. But I was reading that John Carpenter, when they asked him about this, he said, "I watched the one in that house with all the cameras. Oh my God, oh Lord God!" And then the guy gives a speech at the end about violence. What the hell? Oh my Lord, I couldn't believe what they were showing. So that's John Carpenter talking about this movie.
So, true story about this movie. I had a friend. His name was Patrick, and we were good friends. We've known each other since 7th grade. And when Patrick loves Michael Myers like I love Batman, right? Everyone knows how I feel about Batman. He had a doll, a mannequin. That's the word I'm looking for. That he kept dressed up with Michael's jumpsuit and the mask on. And he would wear this mask. He wore this mask to Sony Theaters in Streamwood to go see H2O and to go see Resurrection. And this is when you could still get away with wearing masks and costumes in the movie theater, before whatever happened in Colorado with The Dark Knight Rises. And people would want to stop and take pictures with him. Well, full disclosure, we used to play this game. Pat had surround sound set up in his entire house, and he would bump the Halloween soundtrack throughout the entire house. And he would be in Michael's costume, hidden somewhere in the house, and we would have to walk through the house, and he would jump out and try to scare us. And eventually, word got around, and people wanted to come and check it out. And it's kind of how a lot of us brought broads around, to hang out with girls. They're like, "Oh yeah, come hang out with us. We're gonna play the game." Right? And girls were coming over to check out the game and play the game, and it became a thing. And I love the Halloween series. I always have. It's my favorite series. This movie made a mockery of it. I don't think this movie is defensible.
Go ahead.
No, I'm done. That was my high horse.
That's kind of what I was thinking. I'm watching this, and that's why I message you guys. I'm like, man, this is a rough one, and it's trying to find some silver linings in it. And it's just because, like I said, I'm like you. I loved all of them. Even like I said six. That I loved six. I went to the theater and saw six. I saw H2O in the theater. Same thing. I had somebody in the theater dressed as Michael Myers and with the jumpsuit and the mask and everything. And this has always been because I watched. I can remember when I saw the first one, but I remember probably being when 4 and 5 came out, like on VHS. I watched those when they first came out. Um,
I
but
remember how like taken back I was by the box art for 4 and 5 and how it creeped me out at the video store. And this movie, like I'm gonna say that this movie, like Grease 2 in our predecessor episode, is not defensible. Yumper,
it's
where do you stand on this one?
Totally agree. Just two thoughts, like just on Michael Myers and like my experience with the whole Halloween series. It's like it's a classic. It's the movie that made the slasher craze
He's
go
the boogeyman.
big. Uh, but just watching the movies, I can remember my brother were watching them. My mom, like again, favorite thing is Halloween. We watched these. Even the third one I liked. This movie just isn't that great. It's not enjoyable. It does mock, I think, the franchise. It's a total cash grab. And if you ever notice, a lot of movies that have resurrection after that are in the series are pretty shitty. I mean, Alien Resurrection was horrible, in my opinion, but it was way better than this because you could actually sit through it. This one is just really bad, and I like Busta Rhymes, but I think he was horrible in this movie. Laurie
I mean,
Strode was. I mean, I
yeah,
think she just did. I think she just did it for money and just to, I thought but probably thinking this is probably it. But maybe this movie actually fueled her to come back to do the next three as she did because there was unfinished business.
I guess the one thing I was noticing, like you said again, trying to not trying to defend it, but like, are they ignoring six because like this house was was there in six, and now it seems like it's been abandoned for.
yeah. 4, 5, and 6 are kind of eliminated from the timeline. They're not canon.
The second one
Now,
too. It's just the
part
first one.
part 2 is not canon either. After David Gordon Green and
Danny
McBride rewrote Halloween, Halloween Kills, and Halloween Ends. The only canon movies are Halloween, Halloween Kills, Halloween 2018, Halloween Kills, and Halloween Ends is all that's going to be canon.
Yeah,
Everything else is just made for the sake of it.
yeah, and that's why it's kind of like, and where is this basement in this Myers house? Watching this movie, Resurrections, like that basement is ridiculously big.
It's insane. It's
Yeah,
it's goofy. Well, and then the house in Halloween 6 wasn't the same as the house in Halloween Resurrection, but
But
you had Paul Rudd.
yeah.
oh
Like
god,
I like Halloween 6 more than I like Halloween Resurrection.
Oh,
I do
absolutely.
too. But just
Absolutely.
because Donald Pleasek's in there, but the basement is big. 'Cause I think in Halloween 5 with the niece, doesn't one of her her foster parents get killed in this because they live in the house. The
Yeah,
basement's really
but
huge.
the house in 4 and 5 are completely different, and you have the thorn and the shape, and it's a whole thing, right? Like it's a whole thing in 4 and 5, and it's like they're good. I like those movies; they're fun. They're not Resurrection for sure. They're awful. Like they're not awful like Resurrection. But it's a whole different house.
Yeah, and the mask and H2O in this one are horrible. Like growing up seeing the mask, like my uncle who owns a store, he still owns a store on 47th Street, right by 47th and Ashland, called Casey's. If you look in his store window, there's a Michael Myers standing there
Oh my
with the
God.
mask because it's a hardware store. It's a Michael Myers standing there, like with like a shovel or to sell his shovels or his when it's winter time, he'll have him holding a rock salt
Oh,
within his window. So
this last October was our first Halloween in the house, and I went to Party City and I bought like a 7 foot tall cutout of Michael Myers to decorate for Halloween. Well, one night Kelly went to bed super early, and I brought him upstairs and I put him in the bathroom because I knew she had to wake up early for work. And she woke up and she's like, "Jesus fucking Christ, I hate you." My pastor wife, like, I can't believe she screamed, and it was the best thing I've ever done.
Yeah. And it's
I'm so proud of that moment.
and this, like I said, the early ones, and what's like I said, I don't know if you like the guy who directed two directed this one, and it's just
Yeah.
like, man. But my daughter, my youngest one, is 7 and loves Halloween, just not the movie, but just at the holiday or
The
whatever.
holiday.
Yeah, but I had from like Spirit, I bought one like a sign that said, Happy Haddonfield, Illinois Halloween, and it's the
Yep.
the shot of when he's standing in like the street light from the first one across from where Lori's babysitting. It's just this the shape. And she wanted no part of that. She's like turning it around. She's like, "You need to take it down." I don't. And she does not like the music because like I was playing it in the car one day with them, and I think it was the one from Halloween 2018. She's like, "I don't like this." I'm like, "Why?" She goes, "It sounds like somebody is being chased." I'm like, "No, you're right." So, but yeah, she's not. But it's just like I said, these early ones, and even I mean, nothing will top one. But like I said, 4, 5, 6 at least had some moments, but it's always about him being in the shadows. And this one is just it didn't work that way. It's just too much in your face. It's like you want that jump scare, and you just didn't get it.
They were cheap jump scares. They cashed in.
It was
Yeah.
still a cash grab, and it worked.
It worked.
So
It doubled its money. Well, Shankster, I appreciate you coming on. We appreciate you defending this movie or trying to defend this movie. We look forward to having you on again. We wish you could be at the barbecue on Sunday.
So do I. But it
Yes.
was a great time, man. But you guys have fun with that. I appreciate you guys having me on. Like I said, I love the show.
We got to plan a little bit better for the Halloween event that we're going to do, and we'll get you up here for it.
yes, sir. You have to come up for that.
Definitely will, man. Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
We
thank you so much
appreciate
for
you,
support,
man.
man.
All right, man. Have a good one.
All right,
You
take it easy,
too.
my man.
Bye.
Bye.
Man, poor
Oh.
Shankster, man.
Yeah, we love Shankster. So, Halloween Resurrection, not defensible.
Totally agree, man. He tried. I'll give him that.
He
tried.
tried. He did his best.
But I thought it was hilarious that as he was going along, he's like, "Yeah, this movie's not.
I can't do it. I
It's not
can't do
defendable."
it.
So that was a pretty funny part. But thank you, Shankster, again for coming on, and also thank you so much for your support. If you guys don't know, Shankster is like one of our early supporters. Just listening to the pod, interacting with us. So he's one of the first people that usually interacts, tweets our stuff, and shoots the breeze with us. We talks about movies, and that's why we do this.
Talking about movies.
So thank you again.
Follow our boy at Shankster.
Yes, sir. Follow him at Shankster on Twitter, and you'll just join the combo with us. But with that, let's get to our next guest. You want to introduce our next guest, Will?
Yeah. So, our next guest is someone that I became friends with through White Sox Twitter. We actually have become friends in real life, hang out in real life. All of us went to Vegas together. And besides his awful body odor, is just one of the best people that I've ever met. So, let's bring him in, King Nam,
The hot dog king of Chicago.
Hot Dog King of Chicago. Let's bring him in. Is he in here?
Yeah, he's in here. Go ahead,
I'm
Nam.
here. What's up,
Oh, there
guys?
he is. I see him now.
I think I smell great, for the record.
Nam does smell good. I'm just busting chops. Nam,
So,
welcome
Nam-
to the pod.
Thanks for having me.
No, thanks for coming on. We appreciate you. We brought Nam on specifically to talk about some movies that are very near and dear to my heart, and I know he appreciates them and loves them too. But I want to give him the option to either defend or talk crap about Back to the Future, because I know he has some thoughts on it.
All right, so I don't dislike it, but it's just not very good. That's all. Like, I'm not. The only reason I'm a hater is because Amy loves them. So
Wait. So why don't you like them? What's the
'cause,
issue with them?
I mean, they're not very good. They're not entertaining. I don't know. I mean, just
That's
it
such a
didn't do it.
loaded statement.
It didn't do anything for me, to be honest.
All right. I mean, to each their own, I guess. It hurts to feel like when your friends are like that wrong on something.
That's okay.
Definitely.
Like you are on Wizard of Oz and Return to Oz.
My God, you two are unreal with this Return to Oz thing. I can't believe it.
It's a good movie.
Awful movie. It's a terrible movie.
Swollis doesn't like it because he had to do something for school for it. That's why.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. I can't wait for Encanto Resurrection to come out and make you watch it.
I ain't gonna watch that shit.
Well, Nam, we brought you on because we want to talk about a very specific franchise. And you and I have had, we text all day, every day, and we've talked about these movies tons and tons. The American Pie franchise.
Yeah.
Do you remember the first time you saw this movie?
Not specifically. It had to have been in the theater, high school, sophomore year, I believe. But yeah, no, it was just a great movie for sure. And it was the time frame that it came out, the age that we were, that probably catapulted it to the top in terms of comedy for us. But
Yeah.
That's my first memory of it.
I think that this movie did a couple things, right? So let's get into it. Yumper, do you got some sound for us?
Yes, I do, sir.
What's up, dude? You coming to party tonight, Ozzy? You fuckface? Depends if my date wants to stop by. I'm working on something new. I got an idea about something new. How about you guys actually locate your dicks, remove the shrink wrap, and fucking use them? Dude, it's gonna happen. She's a college chick.
So this movie came out in 1999. It was directed by Paul Weitz. It starred Jason Biggs, Chris Klein, Thomasine Nichols, Tara Reid, Mina Cervani, Shannon Elizabeth, had Eddie K. Thomas and Eugene Levy with the Stiffmeister, Sean William Scott. This movie had a budget of $11 million and it made a whopping $235 million. But I think my favorite part is this movie actually spawned this clip from another movie.
Hey, wait a second. Are you that guy that fucked the pie? See, man? You see? It's never, hey, you were a loser, weren't you? Or, dude, you rocked in Boys and Girls. No, it always comes back to that fucking pie. Haunted by it.
You put your dick in a pie.
Enough.
Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. I love that part when they crash through the window and they say Jason
James
Biggs.
Vanderbeek and Jason Biggs are playing Bluntman and Chronic, and they're talking about fucking a pie.
It's just a total like being humble about how horrible the actions he did in the movie. But this is actually one of the first movies I actually saw, R-rated in the theater. I think I was in 8th grade. I went with my best friend at the time, and his 2 older sisters took us to go see this. And it was just wild.
So growing up in the 80s, The Breakfast Club, Pretty in Pink, 16 Candles were pretty they were pretty raunchy for the time, right? And then that went away. Like that raunch factor went away, and it wasn't okay to make comedies like that anymore. And then this movie came out and it changed the ball game again forever. Like you could say fuck, you can see titties, you can do all those things in a movie, and this movie made it okay to do that. And I love every single second of this movie. I love the soundtrack to this movie. I think this was when Tara Reid was still an absolute smoke show, like before the cocaine. Like it's just absolute smoke show. I want to know how you guys feel about this movie.
Nam, how do you feel about it?
I feel pretty similar. In terms of like the raunchiness, I felt like it was good because it covered almost every single aspect of like the different social groups in high school too, especially in the scene with him and Nadia when they were panning by, like everybody that accidentally got sent the link or whatever. I mean, there were jocks, there were nerds, there were adults. Everybody was watching it. I think there was even a cameo by some lesser known band.
Excuse me, what band was that? Excuse me?
I don't know. I'm not big into music. I just heard that they might have a few songs. So, come on. You can't have me on and expect me not to mess with you.
This fucking guy.
It was
Everyone knows
Blink-182.
we're talking about the greatest pop punk band to ever live. My favorite band in the entire world, Blink-182, are watching Nadia and Jim like fool around, and Mark Hoppus does the "Go Trig Boy, it's your birthday, go Trig Boy," because they were in the trigonometry class together.
Yeah,
Everyone knows that. I love it. I love that you said that. I love that you busted my balls about that. That's why you're a good friend, Nam.
Well, thanks. I can keep it up all day. But yeah,
No,
I
I
like
think
that it covered all the different social groups in high school, and it showed like parties, and like Stifler was the cool guy, although he was fucking absolutely insane. And then Shermanator was at the house, and he's like, "What the fuck are you doing here?" So like there were different like levels of popularity and stuff, and I mean, you realize that because at that time, we were going through that in high school, so I think it made it that much better.
I absolutely agree. I also think that this ties into another movie, and hear me out here, right? The 40-Year-Old Virgin. There's a scene in the 40-Year-Old Virgin where Andy is having a hard time getting laid, right? And one of the characters, I think it was Romy Malico, is that his name? He goes, "You know what you're doing? You know what you're doing? you're putting the pussy on a pedestal, right? It's iconic line in 4-year-old version, but the whole American Pie movie is about, well, it's about a lot of things, but it's about these dudes that are putting the pussy on a pedestal and they're trying to get laid when really it's not that damn important. When your time comes, it'll happen. And like things happen for a reason when they happen. And that was the underlying message to this movie. Yeah, it was raunchy. Yeah, there were some titties, but like it was like it's okay not to get laid if you don't want to, or like do it when your time comes and and you're ready for it, right? So I love the underlying message of that too. I also love that they talk about like making sure that women have a good time while you're fooling around with them. It's not just about the dudes. Like just a great teen movie. The soundtrack is good. The movie poster was fantastic. This movie was a game changer for me. Like I remember like absolutely falling in love with this movie the first time I saw it.
Same. I mean, I don't know about falling in love. It's more like I was like, holy shit, I just watched.
No, I wanted to see it again immediately after I saw it.
But there's a lot of raunchiness in there, as you guys have already covered. But it's a lot of it was kind of funny because the beginning of the movie actually starts with him watching porn. But the way he's watching porn is actually through the squiggly lines. And I mean, come on, any kid that's grown up
No one knows.
in the 90s and 80s knows about that.
No one growing up now knows the struggle of watching Fantravision when you were a kid and trying to see porn on your cable channel.
So
And then, there's a line in there that's perfect. It's like, oh, look, I think that's a tit. Right? Like,
that part's hilarious. And then Eugene Levy is awesome in the movie. You know, this is a movie that made Jason Biggs big at the time. He started doing other movies after this. Loser came after this, and then he eventually went to go do the other subsequent sequels. But this is William Scott's first movie. Tara Reid again, is like Shannon Elizabeth, and then Henry Rowan Gardner.
Yeah, Henry Rowan Gardner, right?
Plays Kevin, the cool kid.
You got to ruin it by bringing up a Cubs player in a movie.
But I mean, what do you also know him from besides American Pie and Henry Rowan Gardner?
A Kid in King Arthur's Court.
Nobody watched that movie.
Yeah, come on.
Well, I'll just be over here sipping my tea.
But I mean, it had like such a iconic things. The pie scene. Everybody talks about the pie scene. We'll just
the
tell you
pale ale.
Him
drinking the beer with the jizz in it.
Yes, that's disgusting.
Yeah, there were some awkward moments for sure. Like
absolutely.
Listen, I know we were all teenage males at one time. I know it fit the scene for the movie, but I don't know anybody that would have climbed up on a counter and fucked the pie. Like,
no,
that's just unheard of. And then dad walks in, whatever. And that's just
and the dad is just like second nature. He's like, well, we'll just tell mom we ate it all.
Yeah.
And I found out that series of scenes took 6 hours to film. So, why? I have no idea why he needs so many fucking angles of a dude banging a pie. But that took 6 hours.
Take after take after take of just him humping the pie on the counter.
And, this movie also, besides Tara Reid, Shannon Elizabeth, every 14-year-old horny kid got introduced to Shannon Elizabeth, who was gorgeous and still is.
Yeah, no, she still is absolutely gorgeous. She was in the Kevin Smith movie. She was in Jan Silent Bob Reboot, Jan Silent Bob Strike Back. Like, she's absolutely gorgeous. I think the other thing is, and I know you're gonna give me shit. Yes, Blink-182 was in the soundtrack, but the soundtrack had so many good songs. There was Third Eye Blind, there was Tonic, there was Sugar Ray. There was some really good songs by Goldfinger and the Atomic Fireballs. The soundtrack was absolutely fantastic. I owned it on CD. I think I stole it from a Blockbuster video. Just a really, really good soundtrack.
Yeah, it's a very good soundtrack. You had Shades Apart on there too, Dishwalla. Good, decent. The music is really good. The music from these movies is actually really good.
Absolutely. And the one Blink-182 song is the one where Jim is trying to film Nadia and he runs to his buddy's house and they play Mutt while while he's running back and forth, and he's like, you should go in there, seduce her. He's like, well, what should I ask her? He's like, do you need an extra hand?
And it's like on a fucking like America Online webcam.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That 56K, man. But
then the wedding band, or not the wedding band, the prom band, before you go to prom, like, just when you think like the comedy like has hit its peak. They go to the cottage after prom, right? And then things get kicked up a notch, right? Jim is talking with his date, the band geek, and she's telling these stories, and he thinks they're so innocent. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, right? She's like, boom, she hits you with the iconic line. I'm not going to say the line here, but like she hits you with the line. And she's like, so are we going to screw now or later? He's like, let's go. And then like they're fooling around in Stifler's little brother's room. And she's like, she gets on top of him and she's like, say my name. And he's like, what? And she slaps him across the face. And she's like, say my name, bitch. And like, I had to see it twice because the whole theater was cracking up.
Yeah, and that was improvised. That was something that wasn't even in the script. She just did it on her own, which I thought was hilarious.
And then you think it's done after that, and it can't be any funnier. Shit break, fuck Stifler's mom on the pool table.
Which recently Jennifer Coolidge had a article come out saying that she slept with over 200 people, and the reason being is because of this movie. This franchise basically boosted her to that status of desirable as the MILF.
This movie is my generation's Breakfast Club, like my generation's Porky's. This changed the game for so many people, and I think it's iconic. And it's not even the best one in the series. That's my take right now.
But let's move on to the next one, and we'll find out what everybody thinks is the best one in the series.
Dude, you're a fucking lousy kisser. What? I wasn't trying. That's not fair. I wasn't trying there. I'm not.
No judgment. No.
Wait a second, you were trying? Fuck no. You were trying? You were trying. Oh my god. Oh, no, I kissed Jim. God.
American Pie 2 was released in 2001, directed by James B. Rogers. The same cast returns for this one. It had a budget of $30 million, up from 11, and this movie made $287.6 million. Now, funny thing about this is Roger Ebert, the great Roger Ebert, gave this movie 3 out of 4 stars, and he and friend of the show Richard Roper gave this movie 2 thumbs up, with Mr. Roper stating this film had more laughs than the original. So now, tell me about American Pie 2.
So the scene that you played, I believe, was the bedroom scene when they snuck in to see if there's proof that the chicks were really lesbians, and that was probably the top one of the whole movie. So that was an excellent pull right there. But my favorite part is just the radios, and everybody can hear them on the radio. You got the police station listening. The one dad's like, I'll get the dinner ready in a minute or whatever, and he's yelling at everybody. And the one trucker just goes, grab his ass, son, or whatever he says. Like, that's just fantastic. And then the other one that's the one where he sneaks into. Is that the one where he sneaks into band camp? And the
Yes.
second one, yeah, and he's Petey or whatever, and that's
Trombone player.
The special needs trombone player.
Yeah, my name's Petey and I have gigantic balls or whatever. That's just like great, because I mean, who could put themselves in such an awkward position like that and do what he did? And that's what made the movie for me, was those 2 scenes right there for sure.
Definitely. What about you, Swell?
So this is my favorite movie in the series. I think this movie. So the movie starts off with my absolute favorite song by Blink-182 that they've ever recorded, "Every Time I Look for You." The movie opens up with it, and it's Jim in his college dorm room getting ready to hook up with a girl, and his dad walks in, and his dad drops a 6-pack, and then his dad sits down on the bed, and he's like, this is a perfectly natural, perfect thing. And he's like, Dad, get out. And then all of a sudden his mom walks in, and his mom's got a full pie, and she drops the pie. And she says, oh my God, they're fucking. And like the movie just starts off with so many laughs. Like I couldn't hear some of the dialogue again in the theater because the whole audience was just cracking up. And there's only 2 times in the theater that I ever remember that feeling where I'm like, I need to see this again because I need to hear the dialogue because people are laughing too much. It's not a bad thing. I'm not complaining. But one of them was American Pie 2, and the other one was the first time I saw The Hangover in the theater. People were just dying of laughter. I think the lesbian scene that Nam just described was absolutely perfect. I think Jim super gluing his hand to his dick using super glue instead of lube, and the movie or the song "Smooth Criminal" by Alien Ant Farm, the cover of Michael Jackson's "Smooth Criminal" playing, and then he's got to like escape, and he tries to jump off the roof onto the truck, and the cops come up, and he puts his hands up, and one stuck to a videotape, and one stuck to his dick, and his pants just fall down. And then the one-liners, he's like, Jim, Stifler goes, Jim, you're the only one I know whose dick needs an instruction manual. I just think like the movie's so quotable. The soundtrack's absolutely fantastic. You have Green Day, you have Sum 41, you have Blink 182, you have Newfound Glory. Like it's just a pop punk kid's wet dream. And I love the soundtrack. This is my favorite movie in the franchise.
How much do you love the soundtrack?
I absolutely love the fucking soundtrack, you dick.
No, I really enjoyed this one. And it was a very good follow up. Usually the sequels, you have such big expectations going in, and they kind of they'll be okay. They're not as great as the original. I think this one is on par, if not better. I actually really like this one. I do find it hilarious though that as the movies progress, Chris Owen, who plays Shermanator, actually like his role. I remember him when he was in Angus as the nerdy friend.
Yeah.
And then he was in Can't Hardly Wait as the guy that stole everything.
His title in Can't Hardly Wait was just kleptomaniac.
Yeah, and now he's a Shermanator, and he hooks up with Nadia, which I think was hilarious at the end of the movie. Again, Eugene Levy, and
she's so infatuated with Shermanator at the end of the movie. He's like the movie, yeah. And then she's like pulling him upstairs, and she's like, "Fuck me, geek,"
or nerd, or something like that. Yeah, it's a nice follow up. There's not really too many complaints in this movie. I thought it was hilarious, and the gags they pulled,
absolutely,
the story actually was very good too. How you progress, they went from them in high school, now it's actually them in college.
And I think that's the cool part too. Like it's like those relationships that I had in high school were now relationships where my buddies went away to college and they came back, and you still want to be friends, but people grow up and people change and they have different priorities. And that's what this was. And I really enjoyed it, man. It is not just a dick and fart joke movie. Yes, those are all in there. And yes, they're hilarious. But like, it really is just about growing up with your buddies and going on and doing different things. My friends now are not the same friends that I had in high school. Some of them still are, but they've all evolved.
Yep. But with that, let's go into the next one.
He's a guy like you and my team. Are you talking about our team or an actual team?
What the hell is our team? Hi, where's the girl? What the fuck are we talking about?
You need to take another look around.
Hey, honey.
Oh my god, what the fuck is going on?
American Wedding, released in 2003, directed by Jesse Dillon. The original cast returns except some key people. Mina Savari's not there. Chris Klein isn't in there. Tara Reid, Shannon Elizabeth. But you have January Jones as Candace Alyssa's sister. This movie had a budget of $55 million and made $232 million at the box office. So Swole, tell me about American Wedding.
So yeah, we're missing some key characters in here. Chris Klein is not in here. He's off doing his thing, and they announced that, or they addressed that a little bit in the fourth movie in the installment. It's a good movie. I enjoy this movie. It's not as good as the other two, but once again, it's like friendships are changing. Jim's growing up. He wants to marry this girl, but he's still getting into the same stupid shit that he was in high school, right? Like he wants to propose to her at a restaurant, and she takes it a different way, and she tries to blow him under the table while his dad comes with the ring that he forgot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then when Stifler accidentally feeds the wedding ring to the dog, and then he picks it up with like a chocolate paper and he eats the shit. Like it was one of the grossest things I've ever seen in a movie. The soundtrack was really good. There's a song on here by a dude named Matt Nathanson. And it's in the trailer, and it's a really, really good single. The wedding scene was really good. Stifler's mom at the end was pretty fantastic. good movie, good follow-up. It's the third best one in the series.
Totally agree with that. Totally agree. What about you, Nem?
Yeah. No, you touched on it. The awkward moments that Jim has throughout the trilogy are just, I mean, you can't even make them up. Like, there's just so many awkward moments that if that just happened to one person, like, there's just no way you could live through that. There's just no way. But the dance scene after the clip that you played intro this, when he went back in and they had the dance off in the gay bar
In a bar in
was
Chicago.
that I did not know that, but that was one of my favorite scenes, just watching those two go at it, and then at the end when they walk out and Stifler goes, "Told you that guy wanted to fuck me." That was probably the line of the movie for me.
Absolutely. The gay guy comes up to him and he goes,
Fair.
yeah, he's like, "Damn, Stiffy, you got some moves."
Yeah.
He's like,
Oh my God, I love you.
When you guys are getting your bachelor party together, let me know. I manage some girls. And Stifler looks at him and he goes, "Actual girls."
Yeah.
Yeah, that whole sequence of that scene is pretty hilarious. Just the intro, like, but man, you're pretty big. You probably could lift me up. He's like, yeah. But that this one isn't like the other two. I think it's a little less in terms of quality, but it still does have like a lot of memorable scenes, like the dance scene I mentioned, the beginning of it. That's another thing that's recurring within this series is that the beginning of the movies kind of like start off and running to
Yeah.
are good gags. I did find it weird that Chris Klein wasn't in here. And I guess, when I did research for this one, they said that there was actually a deleted scene that explained that he was in Spain with uh Heather, his girlfriend.
Yeah, Mina Savari, but in real life it was a money dispute. They couldn't come to an agreement on he wanted to be paid more. He just did I want to say he did Rollerball. Like he did a Rollerball remake and he wanted to be paid more because he thought he was a bigger star. He did a couple other movies. And they just couldn't come to an agreement. Everyone else was like, yeah, whatever. But I think that the two main characters in this movie there's three that are like really like make these movies run. One is Stifler, who in this movie I feel like he was a little much. Like he was way more extra in this movie than he was in the other two. And Jim's dad. I think Jim's dad is the unsung hero of these whole franchise.
Absolutely.
Totally. And I think like this movie kind of like as you touched on with Stifler, it's kind of like Stifler kind of coming into his own. Like they give it a little more back. Like the first movie, they show that the only reason they were friends with Stifler was to get to the party at the end of their high school graduation. The second one, they invite him because of his hookups with everything, and then this one, like he didn't want him in his wedding party at all.
No,
And he
but
kind
he
of
knew how to dance.
yeah, and he proves himself, with the flowers, with getting the wedding dress. He shows that he actually does care about them in some ways. So
That
it's
he
kind of
wasn't
like
a complete ass.
yeah, so it's kind of like a development of the Stifler character, and we'll get to like that more in the next one. But yeah, definitely, I think it's probably out of the three we just mentioned, it's probably the third one, which it should be.
Yeah.
But with that, let's get to the final one, guys.
What do you do over there? Oh, investment stuff.
People wonder why our financial system's falling apart.
Nice scarf. I see you finally came out of the closet.
How is your mother, Stifler?
You stay away from my mom's shit break.
Okay, boys. Past is the past. We can bury the hatchet here, huh?
Yeah, fuck it.
American Reunion. This movie came out almost 9 years after American Wedding in 2012, directed by John Hurwitz and Hayden Skolberg. This movie had all the original cast return, had a budget of $50 million, and still made a whopping box office of $235 million. This movie actually was intended to be the last in all of the American Pie series. Let me know what you guys think about this. Well,
So this movie came out at a time where I had just gotten out of a relationship with a girl that I thought that like was the absolute one. And I went to go see it after we broke up and it never quite clicked with me. It made me forget about it for a little bit, but it never quite clicked with me. There's some really funny moments in this, but for the most part, it's kind of a disappointing. I think that the premise is there, like, you go on your high school reunion, but they even make the joke in the movie, like, oh yeah, our 13th high school reunion. it just didn't like it doesn't. It was funny at the time, but it doesn't hold up, and that's kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. Just my interpretation of it, like I do like the way the stories progress from them high school, college, and now they're adults. So I do find that aspect like the thing that kind of was like the acting by Chris Klein in this movie was he was so over the top, especially when he was doing his sports
Celebrity dance off
casting.
stuff.
Yeah, and his sports casting, he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm here," like just like stuff like it was. I don't know if he was supposed to do that, but it was just horribly acted. The gags aren't that much, funnier in this one than the other movies. I mean, there's still some funny stuff in here. Like I said, this to me, this is more of a Sean William Scott Stifler movie. This is like where everything comes full circle for him, and he shows his devotion to the group, and basically, comes out on his own as he quits his job and then becomes like a wedding planner, right? Yeah, he becomes like a wedding planner,
Yeah, party planner.
and it was nice to have everybody back. I'm really glad that they didn't want to make another one after this with the original cast.
Yeah.
What about you, Nam? What do you think?
Yeah, I kind of agree. I enjoyed it. Like it's just a stupid comedy, so it fits right in. But yeah, it doesn't hold up to the first three at all. But like you said, it's kind of a good progression to see them as they're adults now and what goes on from there. Jim's still getting into the awkward moments. He's got the scene where she goes into the bathroom to take a bath or whatever, and the kid turns on the porn or whatever happened on the TV, and then
Mashes his dick.
yeah, like there's always something happening with him, no matter what. And then Stifler uh, stealing the jet skis or whatever from the young kids and shitting in the cooler and all that. So I mean, there were moments, but yeah,
You're right. So that scene where he stole the jet skis and he like dragged them across the highway and shit in the cooler. And they're like, Stifler, why did you do all that? And he looks at me and goes, they splashed us.
Yeah. Yeah, like the last time I saw it, I remember talking. I was like, "There's no way." Like, I mean, like that is just beyond revenge. Like you're going to jail for that. Like maybe shit in the cooler, but the
Right.
dragging the jet skis all around the lake is not a good idea. But that was Stifler's progression. He was insane, so he had to.
I think this is definitely like I know it was a cash grab, and I know they wanted to just get the cast back together. It was cool to see them, as adults, and they even addressed it like, you're in a marriage for 13 years. Sometimes you get stuck, but yeah, it just doesn't hold up to the first three.
No,
Yeah.
it doesn't, and it's unfortunate, but like
It's not bad by any means.
well, no, it's not a horrible movie. It's watchable. It still has like Nam just touched on a couple scenes that are hilarious.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's not going to hold the candle to the previous sequels.
No.
And this
if you-
movie's I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Jumper. I'm sorry, man.
This movie like spawned, like this series had 4 original movies, which we just went over, and it spawned 5 spin-offs.
Yeah.
And Eugene Levy was in every one of them except the one that came out in 2020.
Girls' Rules.
Yeah, it's crazy because that character, was stagnant through all them. And then in 2021, Tara Reid said that there was a script written for a 5th movie. And Jason Biggs came out and said, "No, there's no script, that there's a lot of obstacles." So maybe they're gonna write another one. I really don't see how they can continue the story with this group unless they do it with their kids, where it comes full circle and Jim becomes his dad. I don't know, but I think they should just leave it as is and leave, just 4 movies and that's it.
Yeah, I think this is a fitting thing. Like you go to your high school reunion. If you were gonna rank these movies in order of favoritivity, how would you rank them, Nam?
1, 2, 3, 4. The
The first one's your favorite?
The first one just it goes number 1 for me because I felt like it really energized some new comedies at the time, and it was just solid all around. 2 had a lot of moments, but I felt it was a little bit less than 1. Same with 3 then, and then with the reunion, it was good, but yeah, it doesn't not as good. I don't know if it was the time gap or however it was, but it just it's got a few moments, but nothing like the first 3.
How about you, Yumper? How would you rank these movies?
And I'm gonna agree with Nam. I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4. And the reason being is because 1, you didn't know what to expect. You just heard about this comedy. It's gonna be, it's raunchy, and then when you experience it. So going into 2, even though I think 2 did have a lot of laughable moments, I think I kind of knew what I was going to expecting when I went to go see part 2, and so on and so on. So I would go 1, 2, 3, 4 for this.
And I'm gonna be the only one that disagrees. I'm gonna go 2, 1, 3, 4. I think American Pie 2 is the standard for me. I love it. I rewatch this series once a year in the summer. I always go in order, but part 2 is always gonna have it for me. Mostly because it starts off with that Blink-182 song.
Who?
Yeah. I didn't even know that was a Blink song.
But Dom, thank you so much for taking time out of your day and coming on and talking and shooting the shit about American Pie. We really appreciate you. Dom, you don't get enough credit for the support you give us, man. We really do appreciate everything you do. I'm sorry you have to deal with Swole on a daily basis.
What does that even mean?
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
But
I'm
hey,
a
You know what
fantastic
that
friend.
means. You know what that means.
I'm a fantastic friend.
I don't know. That's debatable.
Oh
No,
my
but
God.
honestly, thanks for having me. It was good to talk about this. We Amy and I knocked out the first 3. 2.5. I fell asleep for a wedding, and we did a rewatch to kind of prepare for this one. So we enjoyed watching them all again because it's been a while, and a lot of good moments in the movies. So I
Your
enjoyed
wife's
coming
a
on talking
trooper.
about it.
We love her too.
yes, we
She's
do.
all right. She's listening right now.
We love her too. No, but thanks for coming on. We love like the support. You always answer our questions and talk about us. I'm not going to get into specifics, but you also have been a big supporter of our barbecue, and that's this upcoming week. We appreciate all the support on the barbecue and stuff like that.
Yeah, no problem. We're looking forward to it. Should
We're
be a good
very, very
night.
excited. I know you got to get up with for work in the morning, so we're going to let you go and enjoy the rest of your Sunday night. We appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks again,
I'm
Dom.
gonna go watch a Kid in King Arthur's Court now.
It's a fantastic movie.
Yeah, sure. I'll take your word for it.
Oh yeah, go watch Return to Oz.
All
Clown
right,
shoot.
maybe I will. That's a good movie.
See you, buddy.
All right,
See you later
guys,
now.
take it easy. Thanks for having me.
Yep.
Man, the great King Dom. Awesome guy.
Absolutely unreal human being. We love him.
Definitely. But Swole, you already touched on it. Why don't you tell everybody about the event we have coming up on August 20th?
It's in single digits now, man. It's in single digits. Today's what, the 14th? We got 6 days till our charity barbecue. We have raised over $1,000 to go and be donated to Planned Parenthood. And that's because of like our supporters and listeners buying tickets to this thing. Every single dollar that you've invested or you've purchased is going to Planned Parenthood. All the food and drink are being donated by myself, Yumper, and a mystery partner. So everything that you've donated is going to Planned Parenthood. We're very excited to have you out. We still have some tickets left if you want to come through. The link is on our Twitter bio at Yumper and Svo, or on our Twitter handle. You can find it on our page. We have some tickets left. We're going to have food. We're going to have drink. We're going to have games. We're going to have a movie. We're going to have a fire pit. So it's going to be a good time. I'm very, very much looking forward to Sunday.
Yes, so am I. I already got text today from certain people that are already going that are very excited for the event. I always like hanging out with you, Swole. I always like hanging out with our group of friends and everybody from Twitter that we meet, and BS with through Twitter. It's nice to see them all to come together for a good cause. Food's going to be excellent. We're going to have your normal burgers and hot dogs, but I'm also going to be bringing arancetta and have guacamole on the side too. So you have some Mexican food and taquitos there. We'll have beer, games, some door prizes when you guys come. It's going to be a big event for us. And, it's something, a cause that we believe in, and we really appreciate your guys' support. So if you still want to come, check us out at Yumper and Svo on Twitter. Our link's there for the event. You can buy tickets all the way up to the event start time at 4:00. Or if you can't make it and you just want to make a donation to Planned Parenthood, you can do it there as well. All proceeds, like Swole said, will go to Planned Parenthood. Everything that we are donating is, we don't get any profit from this. Everything is donated, and all the profits will go to Planned Parenthood. But thanks, guys, for all that. And before we get to Swole's, final word, again, thank you so much for listening. Thank you to Nam and Shankster. You guys are big supporters of ours. I kept saying that throughout the episode, but it really means a lot to us. I love bullshitting with you guys. Love talking movies with you guys. And thank you for everybody for listening. And with that, I turn it over to Mr. Swoboda.
Hey, Yumper, look at that picture. That picture was taken in the summer of '99 We were on our way to Minneapolis for the worst NBA draft in NBA history. And I think the week before we saw American Pie at the Marcus Addison Theater on Lake Street. So kind of fitting that I used that picture for this one today. If you're watching on our YouTube channel, you can see that picture. My final thought is, once again, meet your Twitter friends. If you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything. Live by that golden rule. And just be nice to people, because you never know what someone's going through. Always assume positive intent, something that I learned from my day job. And I do want to give a special thanks to my buddy Yumper and his beautiful wife. I'm not going to throw him under the bus and say why on the podcast. He knows why. But he took care of me, and he did something that was very, very meaningful to me and my nephew. I got to deliver that news to my nephew tonight while we were at dinner, eating white people tacos. It was white people taco night in the Svoboda household, and my nephews were here for it. So Yumper, I love you. You are one of my best friends, and I'm very, very excited to have this barbecue with you on Sunday. That being said, enjoy your Sunday night. Go spend it with someone you love. And until we see you again in 2 weeks, deuces.
Bye, guys.
Thank you for listening to Yumper and Svo at the Show podcast, a Tan and Glove production.
That's it. I'm getting out of here.